The power of an idea. Ideas change the world. Plato was right when he said, ideas rule the world. In fact, idea people are the highest paid people on the face of the earth. One single idea, the internet, revolutionized industries, our way of life, compromised our privacy, and every single aspect of business. One local idea, M-Pesa, changed the way we transfer money, changed an entire industry, not just telecommunications, but even disrupted the banking sector, and propelled the parent organization, Safaricom, to the most profitable corporate organization in the region. When an idea is ripe, when the hour has come for an idea, nothing can resist it. Nothing can stop an idea whose time has dawned. Even some of us, especially here in Africa, we like hiding our ideas. And let me tell you the amazing thing about ideas. If an idea is due, Mother Nature has a way of exposing that idea. If you do not implement that idea, someone else will. None of us has a monopoly into the universal mind. We are all tapping signals. And if you don't implement your idea, I guarantee you someone else will run away with it. But idea cannot be postponed if its hour is ripe. And I don't know what is the idea in your mind that you're trying to safeguard from other people copying it. Ideas are contagious. In this time and era, they can move across the internet at a phenomenal speed, at the speed of light. They can spawn themselves over 1 million times. And it's interesting how people are willing to share ideas until they go viral when they come across something new. So an idea whose hour is ripe is unstoppable. And an idea has the capacity to outlive the human being in which it originated by centuries. An idea cannot be destroyed. You can kill the man, but you can't kill his idea. That's why we cannot destroy terrorism by killing terrorists. The idea moves on. In fact, often than not, when you kill the founder of an organization, when he's martyred, the idea moves faster and stronger. Because an organization is not a building. Organizations relocate. An organization is not the products. Organizations keep changing products. An organization is not the people. We see employees come and go. We see the founders die and the organization continues. An organization is an idea. In fact, civilizations collapse when ideas cease to be the guiding spirit. We engage in corruption when we have fallen short of ideas because we don't want to work our way to the top. We don't want to go through the entire entrepreneurial process. We want to corrupt our way to the top. Regrettably, I can guarantee you, the rulers cannot continue being corrupt for a lifetime. The ruled cannot be that patient for so long. The only way to have sustained peace in Kenya and any other place is when we celebrate ideas, not empty stardom. And you can tell the future of a nation by just studying the mind of the youth, checking what predominates the mind of the youth, because our lives are an overflow of our thoughts. And I guarantee you this, the only way to reform this country, if we want a new change in Kenya, if we truly want a new order in this nation, is by spreading worthy ideas, like what we are doing in Sense One Life Club. Transformation never happens through a coup d'etat. Transformation never happens through guns. Transformation happens when you change people's way of thinking, when you reform the way of life, the ideas that people hold so dear to them. So an organization is literally the idea that people are holding. And I want to suggest today that ignorance is what keeps us from pursuing ideas and fighting over stuff. You see, I realize every spiritual movement was founded primarily to get rid of ignorance, to expose our brotherhood as humanity, and perhaps to sensitize the need for us to work together, enhance the service for each other, bring some meaning and purpose to this whole human race. But from a biblical perspective, the devil is referred to as the prince of darkness. And he controls you to the extent of your ignorance. Now, when the scripture says he's the prince of darkness, it doesn't necessarily imply that he works at night, but he thrives on ignorance. And that is why the scripture concerning Christ says he is the light of the world. He himself, talking about himself, he said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Neither our human society, nor even in God's kingdom, is ignorance a defense. You'll be killed by that which you do not know. You'll be killed by your ignorance. In fact, somewhere I read, my people perish due to lack of knowledge. From the words of Hosea. And therefore today, when you hear someone arguing, I'm broke because of my background. I'm broke because someone doesn't like me. I was fired because the boss said something against me. I want to assure you there is nothing against you on account of your gender. Nothing is against you on account of your background. What is against you is chronic ignorance. And my job tonight is to restate those sublime truths. My job tonight is to be a light on a candle, on a hilltop, just to share with you these same truths of what you are created to be, because you are a creative being. Let me refresh your memory. On the very first creation day, God created light. It's interesting that of all things God would have created on day one, he chose to create first light. Light drives away darkness. And at this point in time, I'd like to share with you some light right away. You are created in the image of God. What does that mean? You are created to create. You are a creative being. That means God didn't finish the creation story. He just started the creation work. He created a new set of creative beings so that you can continue with the work that he started. You are a creative being. What that means, you can create something out of nothing. You can create wealth out of poverty. You can create order out of the chaos in your life. Guess what? You can create prosperity out of scarcity. You can create beauty out of ashes through the ideas that liberally flow through your mind. You are never designed to be stranded by any given situation. You are designed to dominate over any situation that comes your way. You are designed to have dominion over your circumstances. You are created to have dominion over the land, over the sea, up in the air, and even in the ground. You are created for dominion. What that means is you are created not to be a whiner of your problems, but to be an inventor of solutions. You are supposed to come up with solutions in any set of circumstances you are. I'm saying this. Never accept any circumstance as binding. Never accept any situation as given. Where you meet darkness along the way, you have the power to create light. You see, as you listen to me this evening, you're in one place at one point in time. As a human being, you are limited by time and space. But there is something within you that can transcend time and space. Something that we lost. In the creation story, we see God telling Adam to name the birds, the animals, the worms, the fish. How was he able to do this when the worms are in the ground? When some of the birds fly above the clouds, because he had the power to fly. He had the power to get into the seabed and name the algae right there. That Garden of Eden, I was estimating the other day, it could be approximately Cairo to Cape Town, cuboid, meaning length, width, up. And here is a man who was supposed to tend the garden. There were no workers. I want to suggest to you, he was operating at the speed of thought. He had no limits. And that's why when Jesus comes on the scene, the Bible calls him the second Adam. He was supposed to restore that which we lost. I've got some good news for you tonight. All is not lost. There is something within us that can transcend time and space. And that's your imagination. As you listen to me right now, you can go 500 years into the future. You can take a road trip around the earth in less than a second and be back to your seat. Your imagination knows no bounds. You see, I can see some lights here. Because of the mind of a dead man, these light bulbs he discovered in excess of 100 years ago, Thomas Edison, with no high school education. Thousands of miles away across the Atlantic, he is still ruling us tonight. He has no idea about his dominion or the extent of his influence. What I'm saying is this. You can step into your future, and you can know with precision exactly how you will be 10 years from now. How, Doc? By checking exactly what is going on in your mind right now. Because 10 years from now, you'll be exactly where you are in your mind right now. So the best way of controlling tomorrow is before it arrives. The best way of taking control of your tomorrow is before it becomes your today. Because our thoughts create us. You can break off the limits. See, many times I hear people suggesting if I only get the capital, then I can make it. I guarantee you right now, capital does not produce ideas. Ideas produce the money. If someone gives you the capital, and you don't have the temperament to handle employees and customers, and you don't have the sobriety to handle sudden abundance, and you don't have the clarity of mind of the business you want to undertake, and you don't have the tenacity to handle the storms when they come along your way, the reality is that money will destroy you and it will go by the weeds. That's why it's against God's principles to give you the harvest. God gives us the seed for us to reproduce ourselves. He gives seed to the sower. Regrettably, there are many poor people because they're still looking forward for God to give them a harvest, and they have been cheated as much in other audiences. God doesn't give us a harvest. As long as life goes, there will be sowing time and reaping time. He calls it the principle of the mustard seed, a very tiny seed that grows, if nurtured, well taken care of, manured, fertilized, to shelter an entire ecosystem. The solution lies within you. Yes, Ralph Waldo Emerson was right when he said, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters in comparison to what lies within us. Dare tonight to exercise your creative thinking. Dare tonight to try to go beyond your current level of operation and refuse to operate at low levels. You see, I'm sometimes surprised when I see us producing engineers from our universities, and then the Chinese have to come and fix our roads. As our engineers continue to do maintenance work, I know we have a lot of engineers in our midst here. That very term engineer connotes a creator, a designer, an architect, a mastermind, an originator. But we are busy here maintaining things. I see a lot of our doctors administer medicine from the east and the west, while we still continue to produce medics of all kinds, and pharmacists, and chemists, and biochemists. But we have refused to do creations on this part of the world. You see, an idea is the force and the energy that transforms lives and society. An idea has the capacity to change a person in the immediate and even years to come. It is Thomas Kuhn who coined the term paradigm shift, a time at which our entire worldview changes because of a new idea that we come across. See, the very polarity of our mind is in such a manner that an idea can change completely what you hold dearly and what we live by. And it's our duty tonight, I'll be calling you in a short while, to tell your great story, the idea in your heart, to enliven your imagination, to challenge your thinking beyond the cognitive. I'll be introducing you to yourself. I don't know whether you have ever taken time to study yourself. You are loaded with ideas. And many of us, we are still operating at latent power. We have not exploited our true capacities. We are still dormant. We are still at ground zero. You see, if you decide to sleep for 2 good weeks in a row without waking up at all to go to the kitchen or to any other room, 24 hours every day, believe me, you will need to go through physical therapy for you to be able to walk again. What is true for our other muscles is true for our idea muscles. If you don't exercise your idea muscles, eventually they fade away. Eventually they collapse. At any given moment, you've got to exercise your thinking, because once you stretch your mind, it doesn't go back to its original state. I know it. I exercise this many times. And you have the capacity to keep stretching your mind, stretching your imagination, taking it a bit further from where you are. So tonight, I want to welcome you to one of the most provocative and evolutionary speeches I've ever given, The Power of an Idea. And I want to share with you some 7 steps of developing your idea into maturity. 7 steps of developing your idea. Are you glad you came? Step number 1. Ask critical questions. Ask critical questions. Ask the right questions. See, when I come across a rich person, I never ask them for money. And for me, I'm a bit stubborn. I never allow them to buy me coffee. I ask them questions. I want to capture their mind. Because if I capture your mind, I'll get hold of you and I can get what you have. If I capture your thought system, then I can do what you're doing. I can be like you are. Because you are your mind. You don't have a mind. You are your mind. Regrettably, there are many people who still ask for handouts. And that's why many successful people avoid you, because you're looking for handouts. Let me ask you this. If I pay for your rent this month, who is going to pay for your rent next month? You're right. Let me ask you this. If I pay school fees for your child this term, who is going to pay school fees for your child next term? You'll come back to me, isn't it? But if you get what I have, you don't have to come back for my money. Does that make sense? You see, there was a man who refused to go to church. He was staying by the gate, begging. He was over 40 years of age, born lame. One afternoon, 3 o'clock to be precise, some 2 gentlemen were passing by. And he started borrowing them for money. And they looked at him and said, "Hey, we are not going to give you what you want.